Hi again. Now we're talking about the second part of chapter 5. We're still discussing visual media. And last time we talked about visual media including photos, film, and television, the three early versions of visual mass media. We said that historically we relied on film and cameras to express visual images, visual messages. So there had to be a camera, like a thing that would record, and there would be film, a carrier. Nowadays, we have no need for film. We have digital saving capacity, but you still need some place, you need something, some device to capture those images. So what are the contributions of different forms of media to our overall knowledge? The cultural contribution of print is giving access to information. The cultural contribution of broadcast, audio, and music is transmission of cultural values and beliefs and transmission of culture in general by transmitting opera or symphony. On the radio, you bring high culture to the masses, and there were a lot of debates, discussions about that. The fidelity, the truthfulness of those oral images. How does music represent reality? The reality of it being played in a concert hall versus played on the radio, how genuine it is. But it still does transmit a lot of cultural values. And finally, photography and film documenting history in the real world. So photography is also cultural expression. The way we learn documents to document with photography is our view on life, our cultural attitudes, beliefs, our world, our technology. For example, nobody would think about publishing a picture of a dead body, especially if that body belongs to a person who's killed in a war, and share it with a broad audience, fearing that the family of that dead soldier or a victim of a happening car crash, we don't want the family to see those images. We don't want children to see those images. So our cultural values are expressed in the way we share and we treat those images. We may have them, but we don't necessarily use them the same way as other images. So from understanding photography very well, we move to the concept of film as a medium. Movies were the next major form of mass media, following print, radio, and photo. The history of film is very rich. It's filled with human wonder and technical innovation, from the primitive camera that rolled tape, silicon tape. Now we have our digital cameras. And we have a question from our conversation. What do movies give us that still photography does not do? If you say it's a storytelling function is missing from photography, I will argue that photo essays can still tell a story. But think about this. Think about the question: how are movies different from photos? And when we have a class meeting, maybe we can discuss this. So the early history of film is full of experimentation, trying to create the illusion of movement with still images. And finally, Thomas Edison invented the kinetoscope in 1891, and in 1895, the brothers Lumiere refined Edison's invention and started filming daily life. So the first film was made by Lumiere brothers. The silent film era from 1890s to 1920s gave us stars like Charlie Chaplin. People see how you can tell a story, you can transmit fictional stories. Film's unique storytelling ability starts emerging and developing after the second decade of the 20th century. So movies provide stories of our era. Movies create followers. Movies create concepts that we share. They did replace theater as a source of social messages. They give us morality tales. They teach us about right and wrong, good and bad. and give us our mythology, the heroes and villains. They're built and developed, through sequels in movies. So movies and film deliver a major cultural function. They tell us stories for entertainment, but they also encapsulate moral values. The more minor functions, sometimes, you see in a movie, in a documentary film, for example, the information being shared. There are lots of science and history films on Discovery Channel, for example, that are not fictional. They're not storytelling, a storytelling genre, but more of a learning, more of an educational genre. So film can record everyday life, such as video journalism. It does record everyday life, but not in a consistent way. Sporadically, if you watch CNN, you'll see the same tape rolling over and over. They pick the significant moments of life and bring them to the audience as news. And film, movies capturing action is an art form. So, what are the cultural contributions to mass media? Again, we said print is access to information, broadcast is transmitting cultural values, photo is documenting history in the real world, movies give us our cultural stories. They give us the cultural heroes and tell us stories. Film is an extremely popular and influential medium because it is extremely entertaining. So film brings a lot of revenue to its makers, and that's why the film industry is major. It's huge. In 2018 alone, ticket sales in the U.S. exceeded $11 billion. They were close to $12 billion. And it's a $42 billion global business that we're talking about. There are 6 companies in the U.S. that create the majority of movies and 35% of all films globally. So it's 20th Century Fox, Universal, Paramount, Disney, Sony, and Warner Brothers. So there are top grossing films. They have to be targeting adult audience who can pay more naturally. Usually it's adventure films, usually live action, not animated films, and PG-13 rating so that the audience is broader. Examples of top money making by year in the film industry: The Avengers Endgame, 2019, 2018, The Black Panther, 2017, The Last Jedi, 2016, Captain America Civil War, and 2005, Jurassic World. Top grossing films in all time. Avengers made $2.796 billion. Avatar made $2.79 billion, and Titanic $2.2 billion. These are the top money-making films in our history. So digital technologies are actually disrupting the film industry because they're taking away the expense and the distribution channels, and now you can download films for much cheaper, if not free. So let's talk about it next time.